Did Jeffrey watch it? AJ? Jeffrey? Joe's here. Alice is here. Okay, did anyone recognize what we're looking at?
Wake up.
Yeah, okay, wake up. We talked about this already. Who was our presenter on this one? You were. Okay. So we know that this building, about the size of this school, and inside lived a cult. Our phones can be put away now. You can put your phone. Yeah, you can put your phone. Okay. Inside lived a cult, and they were weaponized. They had weapons, and the leader was a guy by the name of David Koresh, and he believed he was a Jesus figure. And so here comes the ATF, which is the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and it's that one that got people all in an uproar. And so we've covered this already, so nothing that you should be somewhat familiar with what happened here. So this happens in April of 1993. The ATF raids the building, and then people inside detonate and commit mass suicide. There was even some evidence of some gunshot wounds, suggesting that some of the people inside were not willing to die, and they were killed anyway. I remember watching this. I was a graduate student in college, and turning on the TV, and I remember watching this live. And my reaction when I watched this was, "You idiots in there! Why did you resist the ATF? Maybe the ATF was wrong, right? Isn't gun ownership illegal right in this country? It is. Second Amendment. You have the right to own and bear arms. That's what they had. So maybe the ATF was wrong. But just as a piece of advice, if a cop wrongly pulls you over, don't shoot him, right? Even if the cop's wrong, don't shoot him. Get Mr. Phone out and record the thing. Record the whole conversation. Show how polite you are and show how a-hole-ish the cop was. Then at this thing called a trial, play it. Play the whole thing, and the jury will be like, and they'll agree with you, you win. Once you shoot that cop, you lose. You've just lost the argument, right? That was the mistake. Not the owning of the guns. Maybe they had every right to own the guns. The mistake was shooting the ATF agent. I think 3 ATF agents were killed, shot and killed in the approach. There. Now you've just lost the high ground. That was my reaction. You people in the building, you were in the wrong. Is it open? It's open. Hi.
Have they done forward testing?
Yes.
So then where are my computers?
Mr. Barry just rolled them out of the room like,
You went where with them?
I think to his lair. I think he's secretly Batman. Schulte. He's a good guy. Okay. Anyway, back to this. My reaction was, hey, you people in the building, you were wrong. Somebody else was also watching that day, and that someone else did this. Does anyone recognize this? This is the Oklahoma City bombing. Oklahoma City, which is in Oklahoma. Did you know that every state in the country, every state has a federal area? An area where the U.S. government owns stuff. In the Twin Cities, you've probably driven right through it. How many of you go to Twins games or Timberwolves games once in a while? You're in Minneapolis once in a while? You probably drive right through it. It's the federal area. It's where the U.S. national, the national bank is, the bank that makes money. The United States government makes money in 13 locations, and one of them is in Minneapolis. Yes, dear.
That's not true. They make it at the Printing and Grading Bureau, apparently. We went there, me and DJ. We went to the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they don't print money there.
Yeah, they do.
No, no.
Yes, they do. I have money right there from Minneapolis.
No.
It says it right on the dollar bills, Minneapolis, Minnesota. moving on. Doesn't matter. Okay. Federal courthouses. Whenever the NFL is sued, it's always heard in Minneapolis. It just happens to be the jurisdictional court for when the NFL is sued for whatever reason. Helmets is a big deal now. Former players are suing the NFL because they argue that the equipment used by players 10, 20, 30 years ago did not protect them from concussions, and so they're suing the NFL. Well, where's that trial held? Minneapolis, right? You probably drove right by it on your way to a Twins game. This is the federal court building in Oklahoma City. So the federal government owns a building in Oklahoma City, and that's the front of it after it was bombed by a guy who watched this happen and blamed the federal government. Why did you raid the building? Well, just leave them alone. Are they weird? Sure, they're weird. But it's not illegal to be weird, as many of you know. Okay. And so he watched this and said the ATF was wrong. And the ATF must be punished. And who does the ATF work for? The federal government. And that is a federal government building, so I'm going to blow up that building to punish the federal government for its wrongful behavior. The name of the building is the Edward R. Murrah Building. That's the guy. Anyone know who he is? He's a. Wait, look at this picture. Can you tell me about him? First of all, yes?
He's white.
He's white. Very good. That's the whole point of this unit. White extremist terrorism.
In the military.
Very good. Veteran. He fought in the First Persian Gulf War. He was an American soldier. Can you make any other conclusions about this guy? And all you can definitely tell is that he's white, fairly young. Looks like he's in his 20s. It's true. Military. Yep. Angry. This guy was angry, right? He had issues. Okay. He was not alone. He and two other people. So he and these two plotted to blow up that building. And what they did was they rented a U-Haul truck, filled it with fertilizer, parked it in front of the building, and then it blew up, destroying the lowest level. And of course, if you blow up the lowest level of the building, all the levels above it fall. Killing the kids who were at a daycare center on the second floor, right? Cute little daycare center for the people that worked in the building. They dropped their kids off at the daycare center. Something like 150-ish people died, right? And so this is Terry Nichols, that's Michael Fortier, and this is Timothy McVeigh. Have any of you heard those names before? Yes?
How did that guy only get 12 years?
Good question. So this guy was sentenced to 12 years in prison. He's a free man today. The guy that helped blow up in this building and kill 150-ish people is a free man. He could be living down the road right now because the federal government gave him a new identity. Witness protection program. New identity. Anyone explain how it is that he only got 12 years and the other ones didn't? Go ahead.
You ran the
Okay, I'm a little uncomfortable with your choice of words, but yes, he what's called turned state's evidence. He confessed and said these two were in on it too. Okay. This is the mastermind behind it, and that's why he was executed. He's rotting in prison right now. He's a free man. Okay. Stuff.
I think no way someone hasn't killed him yet.
Maybe, I don't know. But how would you know who he is?
Yeah.
But maybe, hopefully. You ever heard of Jeffrey Dahmer?
Mm-hmm.
He's Wisconsin's worst mass killer. I lived about 6 blocks from him. Like at the time.
Wait, are you serious?
Wait, really?
Milwaukee.
That's. I don't know.
No.
You probably drove by his house.
Never saw him. Drove by his house. His house has been destroyed by now. The city.
Was it a creepy house?
No, look at a normal house. Besides the human skin lamps and all that, which is true. He made.
It's the guy Leatherface was based off of from Texas
Isn't he,
Chainsaw Massacre.
Wear people's skin?
No, that's not Timothy. That's not Jeffrey Dahmer.
Numbers cattle.
He just killed people and had heads like in his freezer and stuff. That's all. Okay. Anyway, let's keep going. Neo-Nazis. These are Americans who believe in certain things, and we're going to kind of identify what they believe in, and then we're going to kind of apply it to some other things. So they believe in the superiority of the white race. KKK called it, the white race. The Nazis called it Aryan superiority. It's the same thing. They believe that the whites are the superior entity, and that when the federal government raided that compound in Waco, Texas, they were abusing their right. The Constitution has to limit the federal government, and when the federal government takes away your guns, they're violating the Constitution. So they do not like the federal government. They believe that the federal government is here to take away your guns, and loves my guns, and my dog, and my truck, and my other dog, and my other truck, and my Confederate flag.
And
You
my
understand.
sister.
And my sister, we're probably married to. Oh, another video that can't be put on the website. That ends the streaming for today. You will not see